Hello. Hello. Welcome. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello. So we'll wait for a few more people to join. Then we'll start soon. About 5 more minutes. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, can you like indicate, like nod your head or something? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Test, test. Test, test, test. Oh dear. Okay, wait. Let me just keep testing the sound. Mm, test, test, test. It shows that my mic is working. Leh. Test, test. Can you hear now?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for responding. Okay. So seems to be all right now. Okay. I guess whoever is here is whoever is here. We have 6 of us. Yay! Okay. Now can everyone can hear already, right? I suppose. Since one can hear, the rest should be able to hear. Okay, so good morning, everybody. So I'm having a flu and I'm also coughing. So intermittently, if I cough and I have to like go and blow my nose, please forgive me. My name is Michelle. Yuki is the one who kind of linked us up, I suppose. Thank you, Yuki. Um, so she got to know me through the SIF YSE session at where was it at? It was at I can't remember. Okay, so then she asked if I would be keen to kind of like work with you guys, and I said yeah, why not, right? Something that I'm quite passionate about, like working with the youth, and it's something that I am keen to do lah. So just a little bit of introduction about myself before we go into the theme proper. So I have a company. My company's name is Chrysalis, and it's relatively new. Just set up not too long ago. But this is not the first company that I have set up. This is probably the one, two, three, four. This is like the fourth company that I've set up. But all the companies that I've been working with or have set up, all revolve around working with the youth. So that's something that is really close to my heart, lah. Um, so from the Google forms that I asked Yuki to send to you guys to kind of like let me know what are the questions you may have or what you're curious about. Some of you have indicated that you're curious about a couple of things. One is on finding the motivation or the purpose in which you do or in which you need to do what you need to do. And then the other one is more business related, like Google Analytics, how do I run a business, how much startup capital do I need. So I'm going to divide the conversation into two parts. Today's session, because it's only 1 hour, is just going to touch on the purpose part. Okay, purpose and the motivation bit. And then on the 12th of January, when we're going to be having this face-to-face session, I will bring someone in, hopefully, okay, to join us for the session such that she can support us in terms of the business aspect. Okay. So today we will not be talking about the business development or starting a business aspect of things, but more on um, how so-called how to find your purpose or how to be motivated lah, right? So for us to get to that, right, you can see the PowerPoint slides.
Yeah, can see.
And right, okay, cool. Right. So to get to that, we need to define what purpose is lah. Okay, so purpose according to Wiki Dictionary is the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. Right? Why do I exist or why do we exist? So I'm quite glad that you're about 18, 19 years old, 20 years old probably asking this question. So what motivates me or why am I here? What's my purpose? Right. So um, for Chrysalis, our purpose is to develop courageous and compassionate leaders. So hopefully you guys belong to that category of courageous and compassionate, and you'll be leading at some point in time. But that's our purpose. Okay, and why is this purpose important to me? Okay, is because um, eventually, whoever that we work with, these people whom we are developing or grooming, okay, will be the ones who will make a difference in the world. Okay. Um, so for example, in today's session, there's about how many of us here? There's about 6, 7 of us here, right? Eventually, you will be the ones who will then, if you find your purpose, if you find what is important to you, and you have the courage and the compassion to do it, you will actually make a difference in this world, right? And the simple reason to this is because I am passionate about many things, right? So about finding my purpose. So just to share a little bit about myself in that sense, uh, finding my own purpose is a journey. So it's been a long while. So do you remember when you were in primary school, and your teacher asked you to write like composition, and then one of the topics would be what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you all remember that? Have you all,
Yes.
you all kind of remember that? Okay, can you all just shout out what was your ambition then? Just shout out, it's okay. What's your ambition then? Like, how many of you want to be like teacher or doctor or
Uh,
fireman, policeman?
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Oh, I wanted to be zookeeper.
You want to be what?
A zookeeper.
A zookeeper, cool. The rest?
I think for me, I wanted to be a detective.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yuki, you were saying something, is it?
Like police officer.
Police officer?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anyone else like to share? Okay. So when I was young, I wanted to be teacher. So when I say young, right, it was like when I was, I don't know, 3 or 5 years old. I really wanted to be a teacher. So what happens is I have my little cousins, right? I will have every time we have family gathering, I will set up like little classroom, and I'll be standing in front of the classroom, so-called classroom, and I'll be teaching A, B, C, D to my little cousins. So from then I have been wanting to teach. So it's really funny. Then as I grew older, it kind of shifted. So how many of you have like gone to Outward Bound program? Can you like just indicate, like nod your head or raise your hand, kind of thing? Yeah. So when I went for an Outward Bound program, then I realized that teaching need not necessarily happen in a classroom. So then that was when it kind of changed what I wanted to become. Right. Then it became like, oh, I wanted to be this outdoor instructor. And then I was running camps, like your primary 5 camp, your sec 3 camp, like give me one clap, give me 2 claps. The campfire is burning, that kind of thing. So that was like my journey in that sense. And it continued to change. So when I was in poly, so I was also from Ngee Ann Poly. I was in many different CCAs. And by the time I graduated from poly, long time ago, I think you all were just born at that time when I graduated. If you're 17, yeah, you were probably just born when I graduated. So um, at that point in time, I asked myself, when I'm 40 years old, can I still see myself standing in front of a campfire and give me 1 clap, give me 2 clap? And I said, no lah, I think cannot. But I still really like what I do. I really like being with young people. I really like being with um, uh, creating the impact that I have with the young people. So then that's where it changed. And I said that I still want to do what I want to do, but perhaps not in the setting, right? And then I started to go into what we call soft skills. So things like leadership, communication, presentation skills. In the larger scope of it is facilitation. Okay, which you probably have heard of. um, and then I started to set up my own companies that does that. In 2012, I suffered quite a big setback in terms of um, the company that I set up. So I had to give up the company. I had to tell my staff, I'm sorry, I cannot take care of you anymore. And I was really, really guilty. I really felt very, very guilty about it. And I was beating myself up with regards to that. And I gave myself like 2 years to do whatever I need to do. So from 2012 to 2014, I was in search of what would make me happy. By the end of 2014, I have decided that what makes me happy is to be able to facilitate. Whether I have my own company or not, doesn't matter. Okay, what makes me happy is if I can facilitate, if I can interact with people, I can make a difference in the way that I work with them. So that was how I evolved over time from wanting to be a teacher to becoming an outdoor instructor to becoming a business owner that runs companies that does training, okay, to finally identifying that perhaps it isn't about running the business, it is about just facilitating. And it is, and I thought, okay, that was like it. Yes, I found what I really wanted to do. But from 2014 to 2017, which is this year, I continued to discover what my purpose is. Because facilitation is what I do, it's not why I do it. So the question is, why do I do what I do? And I mentioned earlier, I'm passionate about many things. I'm passionate about raising awareness with regards to racial harmony. I'm passionate about raising awareness on environmental issues. I'm passionate about getting people to understand the youth like yourselves. Okay, what is important to the youth and what the youth would really want to do when they grow up and they come out to work. So these are just a few of the things that I'm passionate about. So that's kind of like my story. But today's session isn't so much about me. The reason why I'm sharing my story is so that perhaps it gives you a little bit of idea about what is happening for yourself. If you notice, for me, the trend from when I was really, really young all the way until now is that I have not walked away from the same pattern of what I am doing, which is I want to impact people. And perhaps that is what my passion is. That's what my purpose is. My purpose is the ability to be able to work with and impact others. Okay, to create positive change, perhaps. Right. So whether I'm a teacher, whether I'm an outdoor instructor, whether I am a facilitator, whether I'm a business owner, all the all of it carries a same theme of wanting to create an impact, of creating impact, especially to the youth. So that is a common theme that I didn't identify until this year. Okay, and it's working with people, okay, people who like mentor me and guide me and say that, hey, do you notice that you have a similar thread? You have a thread of working with the youth. It has never changed over the years. Do you notice that it took you a lot of courage to be able to speak to people, to be able to work with people, to be able to say that, hey, I made a mistake and I want to make a difference. That took a lot of courage. So that's how Chrysalis' purpose came about, the courageous part and the compassionate part. Because of the compassionate part, therefore, I am able to work with others. Right. So that's about me. Okay. And I hope to be able to guide you on a similar thread for yourself. If you're in search of what is your purpose and what is your motivation. Okay. So we're gonna do a little exercise. Right. And I'm going to start you with some questions. So hopefully you have your pen and your paper with you. If you don't have your pen and your paper, perhaps you want to go and get it now. You will also need to probably toggle between your screens. Okay, from this screen to another tab on your browser. Okay, because I'll be using Menti. Are you all familiar with Menti? Mentimeter. Okay, never mind.
No,
I will. Okay, it's okay. I'll give you all the link and stuff like that. So it's quite similar to this webinar thing. Okay, so all have your paper and pen and stuff ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Right. So the first question that I'd like you to think about, okay, and respond. Okay, take your time. You don't have to rush. Yeah. Would be, and this one you will use another tab on your browser. Okay, would be, what is most important to you? Okay, so you can go to www.menti.com and then key in the code 8584812. Okay, and then we will be able to see the other screen. Can you all see this new screen for me, or you still see my PowerPoint slides? Okay, so if you all key in menti.com and use the code, your responses will come up. And we'll probably see each other's responses or what is most important to you. So it could be family, it could be fun, it could be respect, it could be honesty, it could be friends, it could be environment. Yeah. Just need you to think about what is most important to you. And if you can, key into menti.com. Is it appearing? Growth. Cool. Thank you. Let's wait for a few more responses. Genuine. Thank you. Intellectual stimulation. Thank you. Progressing. Thank you. Family and friends. Thank you. Helping others. Thank you. Any more responses coming in? Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. Right, so these are the things that you find that is the most important to you. Thank you for taking time to really think about it and keying it in. Like you to think about the next question. Okay, why is it important to you? Okay, same thing. When you're ready, key in your responses. Why is it important? Why is growth important to you? Why is your family and friends important to you? Why is progressing important to you? Why is intellectual stimulation important to you? Okay, when you're ready, post your answers on Menti. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any more responses? Okay, we shall move on. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. I think it is important to keep growing in the right way so that the things we do actually create positive impacts and not negative ones. Okay, great. Thank you. Family and friends give me the support and love which pushes me forward in life, progressing to know that I'm growing, more knowledge and skills. And then helping people is a way to spread joy. And being genuine, there is no point in being something you are not. You need to be true to yourself and others. Cool. Right. So based on what you have written and why these things are important to you, I'd like you to now explore the next part, the next question. So why is that important to you? So why is it important to be true to yourself? Why is it important to spread joy? Why is it important to keep learning new skills and knowledge? Okay, and this one is not a mentee. You can write it on your own paper and with a pen. Right? Really, this is for your own reference. Okay, why is that important to you? Okay, why are all these things important to you? Why is it important to create positive impacts and not negative ones? Why is it important to provide support and love for you? Okay, let's take about 1 more minute for you to pen that down. Why is it important? Okay, and if you are okay with it, whatever that you have written down, right? Is it possible for you to show, like, just raise up to the camera and show it on the screen what you have written? Only if you're comfortable doing that, yeah? To show on the screen what you have written. Why is that important to you? Cool. Okay, that's really long. Thank you, Yuki. Can kind of see a little bit of what you've written. Thank you. Okay. Right. I guess the rest, hope you're done. And if you're not okay to share that, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so now that you've kind of like gone a little bit deeper, okay, on why that is important to you, right? I'm gonna ask you to go even deeper than that. Okay? And the next question to help you to go a bit deeper, right, is what happens to you if you lose what is important? So what is going to happen to you if you do not get support and love? What's going to happen to you if you're not true to yourself? You know, what's going to happen to you if you you don't spread joy? What's going to happen to you if you stop growing? What's going to happen to you if you are not creating a positive impact? Okay. What happens to you? So not what happens to the world. It's not what happens to the people around you. It's what happens to you if you lose what is important. Okay, let's take about 1 more minute for you to do what you need to do.
Huh?
Okay, just like to know, are you all done?
Yeah.
Yeah, done,
Yes.
right? Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. Okay, so thank you for also taking this step to really go a bit deeper. Okay, to really understand yourself a little bit better. Right. So if you notice the questions that has been asked so far, okay, what is important to you? Right. It's really asking you to at the very first level, identify perhaps what you think is important to you. Okay, what you think. So you're using your brain, okay, to think about what is important to me. And then the next step is asking you the question of why is it important to you? So at this level, when you ask yourself this question, it is still possibly very cerebral, meaning that it's still using your brain a lot. Okay, why is it important? So you need to find a reason why it is important to you. But as we start to go a bit deeper, to ask to highlight in between what you have mentioned about what is important to you, to go deeper a little bit to ask, so why is that even important? Why is it important at the next level. And then you kind of either have to think harder, or you have to go into the feeling, okay, the emotion of what starts to drive you to say that that is important. Okay. And when you reach that point, to prompt you to go even deeper than that, it is to say that, what if you lose it? What if you lose that, right? If it's so important to you and you lose it, how would you feel? What will happen to you, right? So, um, an example for myself. So I mentioned to you earlier that in 2012 I kind of lost my business, uh, or I gave up my business. Not say I lost it. I gave up my business, and then it was only then that I realized that it, what was important to me was the people that I work with, and was the ability to do the work that I was doing. It was never about running a business. It was never about being my own boss. So it is not important to me to run my own business. I can work for anyone, everyone, as long as I am given the opportunity to facilitate and to continue to create the impact. So then I become clearer on what is important, rather than and start to shave away the things that are not as important. What happens to me if I lose what is important? What happens to me when I lost my colleagues because I had to give them up was that I went into a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. Right? For me to be able to identify that emotion was important. Right? What happens to me if I was to lose the ability to facilitate? The simplest way to explain is I'll be unhappy, and probably I will feel very valueless, that I cannot do anything, I'm useless, right? And then that doesn't help anyone, doesn't help myself, doesn't help the people around me, right? So if at this point, if you somehow maybe what you have written down says that, actually nothing will happen to me if I lose this, then perhaps that is not what is really important to you, right? If you have written down that I will be very depressed, or I will feel very helpless, I don't know what else you may have written, then perhaps that is really the thing that is important to you, and it's something that is what you would call your passion. Okay, right. I'm gonna invite you to go a bit deeper one more time. Okay, and this time it will be on mentee.com, so you go back to the tab on Mentee. All right, and the question is, what are you willing to do to uphold what is important to you? Okay, so what are you willing to do to uphold what is important to you? So you have already identified what is truly important to you. What are you willing to do? So an example is, for me, I'm willing to freelance and work with different people who will be able to create impact in using the skills that I have, which is facilitation. I'm willing to uh, not have a stable pay because I'm freelancing, because I get to do what I want to do. So then I identify that perhaps money is not something that's important to me. It is important because I need bread and butter, but it is not important in the sense that it will decide what I am going to do. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right. So for this question, I'd like you to key in onto Menti and just post your responses. Okay, whenever you are ready to post your responses, you may. Thank you. Work hard and prioritize it. Cool, thank you. Anything that make them happy, do anything within my means. Thank you. Willing to give up doing things I enjoy to help others, even when I do not have enough time. Thank you.
You feel so.
And one more response. Okay. Wait for a few more seconds. See if they want to respond. Okay, willing to influence others to be true to themselves and to work towards who I want to be. Right, thank you. Okay. So pretty much within this period of time, like 1 hour, right? That's as much as I can go with you. To be able to go deeper, I would prefer if we could have a more face-to-face session rather than a webinar. So basically, the process that you went through really is kind of like a 5-step, right? What is most important to you? Why is it important to you? And after you have done that, identify why is that even important to you. And then the question on what happens to you if you lose what is important, and then what are you willing to do to uphold what is important to you. Okay, this last question basically is an action question, getting you to start putting what is important to you into action. All right, and this 5 steps, I know that there's like only a few of you in this webinar, and there's actually a lot more of your friends who are not here, whether they are at camp, whether they are overseas, or whether they have something more important to deal with. That's perfectly fine. But perhaps you could now become that catalyst to support them in this journey that they are also facing, because you'll be working in your groups for your final year projects. You'll be working together um, to do what you need to do. So what will happen is I will actually PDF this and I'll send it to Yuki, and then Yuki can forward it to your friends. But those who did not attend the webinar, right, when they read all these, right, to them it's just questions. It doesn't mean anything if they don't go through the process. Then they will just answer lor. They'll answer like how you will answer your exam question, right? Yeah. But for those of you who are here, at least you have really taken some time to think through and really search a little bit deeper for yourself. So my suggestion is, if you really want to help your friends, to be able to sit them down and to walk them through this with them, such that they also get to identify, especially those whom you will be working with in a group. Okay, the reason why I say that is because when we when you answer this first question, what is important to you, the people who are working with you in that group, and I suppose that when you're working in that group, you'll be working on your final year project, and that final year project will be to identify a social cause that you want to start a social enterprise on. If I'm not wrong, if I understand what your final year project kind of looks like. You will want to work with people who possibly have a similar what is important to you. That's the easiest way to go, right? But sometimes we may not have a choice, because the lecturer is the one who grouped us together, and we don't have a choice of who we want to work with for this final year project. So at least when you start to identify each other's what is important to you, then you can say that, okay, can we come up with a project that perhaps can meet as many of our important things as possible. So an example, just now, one of you mentioned about anything, friends and family, okay, anything that can make them happy. So for this instance, perhaps, right, this person in your group, if this person is in your group and uh, you need to arrange for a group meeting because of to discuss the final year project and to discuss the details and things like that. But this person, something happened at home, or perhaps they have a prior arrangement with their family and friends, and then this person will say that, hey, I can't make it for the meeting because of this. At least now you understand that this is important to your group mate, and to come up with a strategy that it will work both ways for them to place their importance on what is important for them, to take care of them, at the same time also to take care of what is happening for you in the project. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay. So similarly, I'm willing to give up doing things and I enjoy and help others, even when I do not have enough time. So perhaps if let's say for this one, this person, you may want to then start having conversations about, okay, you want to do your volunteer work, but at the same time we got this project to do. So how are we going to do it? Okay, especially if the project is not on the same line. Okay, right. So this is just an example of why it is important for you and your group mates to at least start with this question. Okay, or what is important to you. So we are working together for our final year project. I like to, as a team member, I like to share with you what is important to me, and I like to hear from all of you what is important to you, so that perhaps we can align what is our project on and how we're going to work towards achieving the final year project. Okay, so I'm sharing this also because there's someone who posted on the Google Form survey to ask about teamwork and leadership. Right, so this is just one of the strategies in which you can then become a better leader for your team and how to work together in your team a bit better. Right? Okay. Right. So what I just shared with you, okay, the process, right, it's actually quite popular nowadays in that sense. It's kind of called the 5 why 5 why process. Okay. But pretty much it's also driven by this guy. I'm not sure if you all have heard of this guy called Simon Sinek. If you have not, you can always go YouTube and Google. He has a very, very popular TED talk on this topic, the golden circle. Okay. And pretty much what he's saying is that um, for organizations or individuals who are able to who are very clear of their why is it important to them, right? They are the ones who typically lead a more fulfilling life. They are the ones who typically are clearer in the instructions that they give to others. They are also typically the ones who will then be able to have a longer lasting kind of um, project or business or passion. So the example that he gave is Apple. You know Apple, your MacBooks and stuff. So when Steve Jobs started Apple, he really started from the why and not the what. Whereas all the other computer companies started from what. So how it sounds like when they are presenting, right, is, what do? We make computers. How we make it? Then they give you all the specifications of the computer. Why we do it? I don't know, because we need to earn money, lor. Right. So that's kind of like how it sounds like for all the other computer companies. Whereas for Steve Jobs and Apple, how it sounds like is, it is important to us that we create technology that is accessible to everyone. Okay, how we do it is we produce different types of platforms, whether it's tablet, whether it's laptops, whether it is TV, that will be able to create the accessibility to everyone to technology. By the way, we make laptops. By the way, we make tablets. So it really doesn't matter what form it comes in. It's whatever that is the core for them. It is to make technology accessible. Okay. So similarly, the process that we go through earlier as what perhaps you all mentioned just now, like I am willing to give up doing things I enjoy to help others, even when I do not have enough time. So this is this is a possible example of it really doesn't matter which project group I join, as long as that project that I join is able to help others. Okay. Then along the way, you identify what help others means. Does help others mean that as long as I give them money, I provide financial welfare for them, that is enough? Okay, so whoever wrote this, you probably want to go a bit deeper and ask yourself, actually, what do you mean by helping others? Okay, does it mean that I physically have to be there to help? Does it mean that I teach them? Okay, teach them how to help themselves? Does it mean that I go and raise funds and give them the money for them to help them? Okay, what does it mean? Right. So for this friend over here, perhaps to be genuine, okay, I am willing to slowly influence others to be true to themselves and to work towards who I want to be. At this point, perhaps this person would want to say that I want to identify who I want to be first before I go and influence others. Right, before I'm clear about who I want to be, a bit difficult for me to go and influence others. Right, and how I want to identify, it could come in any form. I could take a profiling tool, I could ask people for feedback, I could do self-reflection. As long as I get to work towards who I want to be, it doesn't matter what form it takes. Right, so the why becomes much clearer in that sense for you. Okay, right. So the other book, if you are keen to explore to find your motivation, right? So one is this Simon Sinek. So you can go and watch his TED Talks. He has many TED Talks now. Start with Why is the first one. The Golden Circle is the first one that went viral. Subsequently, he talked about millennials, which is yourself, okay, and then talking about leadership. So this is one guy that you can just watch his YouTube videos, or you can read his articles. You can even like his Facebook page, and then he will also post some things there. The other person that you perhaps want to like refer to, okay, is this guy called Viktor Frankl. So Viktor Frankl is this gentleman who survived the Holocaust. If you know what the Holocaust is, World War II, where the Jews were being removed by the Germans. So he was put in a concentration camp, and basically they got nothing to do there but wait to die lah, or wait to be put to death, right? And then he found that there are people around him who were dying before they were put to death. Like they were going into desperation, they were going into depression and things like that before they actually reach the point where they will die. And for him, what he identified is, for them, they have lost all purpose to live. To them is, oh no, what is going to happen to me? They have forgotten that there's perhaps other things that is meant for them to do better. So in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he was able to come out with the concept of what purpose is. And he came up with this quote: "He who has a why can bear any how." It doesn't really matter what the how is, as long as you are clear of your why. Yeah, so this is another person that you can refer to. And if we are able to acknowledge and accept that there's suffering. Okay, so this is a bit difficult to explain, but I'll try my best. If you think back in your, I don't know, past 20 years of your life or less, there were many moments where you, in your own terms, what suffering is. So for example, for some of us could be, my mommy daddy don't want to buy handphone for me, I'm suffering because all my friends have. Okay, or it could be, oh, I need to study for exam, I'm suffering. Okay, a lot of times we talk about that kind of suffering when it is filled with despair. Okay, so when we are filled with despair and we suffer, we're actually suffering without meaning. We don't know why we're doing it. Right, especially like when we were younger, then we had to go through exams. Then we say, "Aya, why must go through exam?" Then you say it's so suffering. I can't wait for exams to end because there's no meaning to exams for you, or there's no meaning to the test. It's just like they just want to know how much I know, lor. But do I really need to tell them? I don't understand why I must do this. But when you are able to suffer with meaning, then that's where you will find passion. So think of the times when you are in your CCA and you really, really, really like your CCA a lot, right? I think for most of us, we probably have that experience, or we really, really like something, and we have to give up something in return. So I need to give up my time with my family. I need to give up uh my time to play because I need to go for my CCA, or I need to go and do something. I'm actually also still suffering, but I don't see it as suffering because there's a meaning to what I'm doing. So just as uh our friend shared just now, right? Uh, I am willing to give up doing things I enjoy to help others. So you are actually suffering because you are giving up doing things that you enjoy. But because you find meaning and purpose in helping others, therefore it doesn't feel as suffering as before. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yes.
So even when you don't have enough time, so for people who time is very important to them, okay, for those people who say time is very important to me, I must have enough time. I must have time to spend on myself. I must have time to go shopping. I must have time to go and travel. These people will not want to give up doing things that they enjoy to help others because that is more important to them. And it is not wrong. It is just that they prioritize time to do these other things a bit differently, right? And if you were to pull them and say, "Hey, come lah, join me, come and join me," and then you can get CCA points, you can get CIP points if you do this. The only meaning that they find in helping others in that case, right, is, "Oh, I get CCA points, lor." That's it. There's no deeper meaning for them. And therefore, it becomes like you see them dragging their feet, you see them complaining, you see them whining, right? But whereas for you, you are doing exactly the same thing, but you're not. You'll be like, "Yes, today I just helped one uncle to clean his house. Yes, today I helped an auntie to cross the road." It's a very different kind of perspective. Are you still taking away the time that you have? Yes, you are. But you are not suffering because that you are not suffering in that sense because there is meaning, right? So um if we are able to acknowledge that actually a lot of things that we do somehow or other there is some level of suffering, and we are able to accept this suffering, then perhaps that is where we are able to see that, oh, this is perhaps what I'm passionate about, okay, that I really enjoy. So the question to you, and for you to also ask your group mates in future, is which one will you choose? Will you choose to suffer without meaning, or will you choose to suffer with meaning? And the only way to be able to suffer with meaning is to be able to identify what is important to you. Okay so far?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. So I've kind of come to the end of the sharing today. Um, two things that I'd like you to help me to do. One is, like I mentioned, I will send this set of slides to Yuki, and then Yuki, you can send it out to whoever that you think will benefit from this, or to the whole cohort lah. I'm not sure, right? But I would really encourage that those of you who have kind of sat through this session, be able to support them in their journey, because it sounds easy, but it's not that easy in that sense, right? Two, um, thank you very much for being here. Okay, there's not a lot of you. There's only a few of you who has managed to join the session. And to be very honest, I was telling Yuki, actually you all are guinea pigs because this is the first time I'm doing a webinar. And I really don't know, not sure how it works, and I'm quite glad actually it turned out quite okay, in the sense that technically everything went well. Only the initial part of whether y'all can hear me or not, but everything else, like the sharing of the slides and the sharing of the Menti, I think y'all can see, so that was easier for you to follow. Thank you for being the guinea pigs. I'd like to make a request. If you can, to go to my Facebook page, Chrysalis. Okay, search for Chrysalis, and perhaps give a feedback about the session there. Right, I kind of recorded the session. I see whether I can extract the recording, and I will see if I can put it on Facebook as well. For your friends who did not attend the session, right, perhaps you can direct them to the if I manage to put it up, you can direct them to the Facebook page, and then they can also then, well, kind of like experience this a little bit. Okay?
Okay.
Can? Yeah,
Okay.
so if you can just help me go onto the Facebook page and give a comments like a feedback on Facebook of how the session happened for you. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope to see you on the 12th of January. Yuki, I will confirm whether I'm bringing somebody else along with you. Can, because we got 1.5 hours for that session. So that session will be more on the business side of things, like how to set up a business. Is there a lot of competition? Should I still set up a business? What kind of capital do I need? And things like that, which are some of the questions. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'll catch up
Thank
with you
you.
all again. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. You can leave the chat now.